if you live, I was trying to talk here, and my mind's just elsewhere. I was like, "Oh, if you live in the South, especially in the South, you've probably been through it with the hurricane. And I'm not trying to pull one of those college game day things where I talk about something really depressing. With that said, it's been very, very trying. So I hope everyone is safe. I hope you're doing well. I know that you probably are right now. If you hear anything outside of these words, you're like, "What's going on in the background?" They're having to clean a tree up out of my yard. Fortunately, the city came by. They're working on that right now. I didn't expect that to be so soon. I was getting some chainsaws over here, and we were going to tackle this, get this mess cleaned up myself, but they're getting this out of the road, and I thank God for it. I went out there and spoke to them and told them thank you, and they said, well, this is what we get paid for, and I said, well, just because you get paid for it doesn't mean I can't appreciate it, so thank you. So I hope everyone out there is doing well. I hope that you're safe. I hope that if you have experienced some type of maybe a tree fell on your house, and I know a lot of people at this moment that are friends of mine, family of mine, who, yeah, it did. Maybe you're without power. Most of you are. I'm fortunate to be close to a hospital. so so I think that may be one of the biggest reasons I have power right now. And you're watching this on your phone, and you're like, what's that idiot doing with power and I don't have it? I hope everything is restored for you. I hope everything is restored for you, and I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're okay. Be careful out there. A lot of people are stupid. As I went driving around later on, I had to pick up my kid from the airport. My oldest, he had been to New Mexico on a church trip. And as soon as he got in the car, we were at GSP. I told him, I said, yeah, you might want to stay over on the West Coast, at least for a couple of more days, maybe a week or so. And he was like, really? I was like, you will. You'll see why. And he saw why. And there's a lot of crazy people out there, a lot of traffic lights that are not working. And you find out that people, if you think they're terrible at driving now, you'll find out even more. So I've spent the past 2.5 minutes talking about the obvious. And sports, college football it's that thing that we're supposed to do in our spare time that takes our mind off of some of the troubles and the chaos or the weather or whatever it is. And I always talk about major media, how they manipulate that and how it drives me nuts. So this morning, I'm not trying to manipulate anything. This morning, I want to give you something to look forward to, but I also wanted to just say, I'm with you. I'm fortunate to have my power on right now. I didn't have it on for most of yesterday, but there's a lot of people who's not going to have power for days, and let's try to help them. Let's try to be good to them. Let's try to be good citizens, and let's try to enjoy football as much as we can today to take our mind off of things. And so from this point forward, I'm going to try not to talk about the hurricane or the tropical storm or whatever you want to call it that made a tree fall on your house. So I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the show. Normally, I'm not so depressing, but normally a once-in-a-century storm doesn't come through the area. It's the corner where you live. That is. I hope you will subscribe. Y'all. In the midst of all this craziness, I hit I'm over 5,000 subscribers, and that's because of y'all. That's because of y'all getting on here saying, you know what, this dude may be a little grumpy. This guy might be a little pessimistic. Okay, sometimes you think I'm very pessimistic. But if you had to place a bet, would you listen to me or would you listen to major media? Would you listen to me or would you listen to your favorite team sports outlets that, tells you it's rainbows and butterflies, and then it doesn't happen? So a lot of you, that's what you've been leaving in the comments. Hey, man, you've driven me crazy in the past, but you're right. And that's the reason I've subscribed. I'm glad you're here. I am wrong, and I admit it when I'm wrong, or try to. My pride doesn't get in the way. So I hope you'll subscribe. But thank you all for getting me to over 5,000 subscribers. 2 weeks before August 31st, which was the 2-year anniversary of this channel, I was like, hey, hey, I would like to get to 4,000 subscribers. Y'all just blasting me over 5,000. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A little channel like mine, guy talking about his football team, it's resonating with you, and I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. Remember, it's free. It's not going to cost you anything. And let's dive in. So I see a bunch of people in here. Good to see a bunch of people in here. I'm going to get to you in just a second and chat about it. Here's a good one right here. This game should have been canceled. 42,000 people in Pickens without power, and we're playing a football game, bringing in 80,000 people. Yes. Hey, I get it, my friend. I get it. Most all of my family is in the Pickens-Oconee County area. I don't blame you. I literally just got off the phone with my mom, and she just said the same thing. So anyway, we're going to talk about that in just a second. So let's talk about today's games. Now, you know that I predicted, if you watch my video, you know this, I predicted Clemson wins this Stanford game. Alec Manor is one of those guys who's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable wide receiver. He does well. And I think that Stanford's going to give us a better game than what a lot of people believes. Jeff Laughlin was someone who comments on my videos all the time, cautioned me. He said, hey, we don't need to assume anything. And I agree with you, Jeff. I agree with you 100%. We don't need to assume anything when it comes to Stanford, and we don't need to assume anything as Clemson fans. We need Clemson to continue to prove it game by game that they learned their lesson with Georgia. They're tired of having offensive performances like they've had for the past, counting this season, 4 seasons, including the Georgia game, and that they're moving forward, that they're growing, that they're not going to look like anything. They'll have no resemblance of these past years unless we want to go back to 2018. We're not going to look like anything like that, you know? And I agree with that. So we need to be cautious. I still see Clemson winning this ball game. By the way, Stanford, their flight was canceled due to weather. And they had to fly in a little later than what they wanted to. That does matter, and I hate it for those guys. Let's talk about a team that has hurricane in its name. And they played last night, and everybody and their brothers telling us that the Miami Hurricanes is back. And Miami Hurricanes fans, you know, just like any good sports show, I like to talk trash. But most of it I like to base in reality. So if I will tell the truth to my team, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell the truth to you. Now, some of you Miami Hurricanes fans, you're totally fine with that. You're like, Brian, that's the reason I watch you. That's the reason I pay attention to you. You'll tell the truth, even if I disagree with you, or you call it like you see it. And some of you are okay with that. And I told you it was okay to enjoy the possibility of being better. But I told you need to pump the brakes, and you need to let this Miami team prove it week in and week out. Well, guess what happened last night against a subpar Virginia Tech team? You almost blew it. And I know, because I've watched football for many, many years, college football especially, what your rebuttal is. Well, that's the type of games that you got to win. That proves that you are getting better. Virginia Tech beat the trash out of you for the vast majority of that game. You got lucky. That did not look like a football team. Miami did not look like a football team who is truly top 10. We all know this. I've had to sit here and look at my own Clemson football team and say the same thing. Just take it game by game. Enjoy the wins. Enjoy it. It's okay. You can have fun. That's what college football is all about. We're supposed to have fun and get past it. Get past the stuff that we deal with, like what's been going on here. But when you're talking about realistic expectations, you have to pump the brakes. For Clemson, Clemson has proven that it can beat a bad team bad. But Clemson has a lot to prove, and so does Miami. Miami, last night, did not look good especially on the defensive side of the football. And just like us Clemson fans have had to accept, you have to have a complete football team. Clemson's defense has done very well for most years for a while. And if you ever see Clemson's defense struggling, it's because their offense hung them out to dry. So Miami, you can have Cam Ward. But if your defense can't stop a cold, and by the way, this was the first team you played with a pulse, Florida doesn't count. Florida's awful. The artist formerly known as Florida Gators football, well, that's what they are. As I've said before, they're a shell of history. What do I mean by that for some of my new viewers? They wear the same jerseys. They have the same fight song. They play at the same stadium. They have the same logo. And if they have history on their side, as Florida does, Miami does, Texas, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame, which Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship in 36 years. Players will still go to school, sign on to play, even with NIL involved. But Florida is terrible. They're a shell of history. They are not Tim Tebow and all those criminals that was playing for them at the time. And if that offends you, go look it up. They were a bunch of, this wasn't a bunch of guys who would go get high and then ride around in a car hitting on women. No, these were murderers. These were some terrible human beings. That doesn't exist anymore. And Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, they have a lot to prove. And they play a team. They play a Florida team. That's the only team that semi has a pulse, and they're terrible. And then all of a sudden, Miami's shooting up the ranks. And you're sitting there going, well, if you watch Texas play, you go, Texas is pretty doggone good. You watch Georgia play, even with them struggling against Kentucky, you can see that they're an extremely talented team. You can watch Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. They're getting together today. We'll see how Alabama responds with a new coach. Do you get what I'm saying? You can see these teams. Ole Miss looks pretty good. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship, but my point is, you watch them, you go, that's a top 10 football team. I looked at Miami and I told y'all, Miami is not that thing that you think they are. And if the verdict is out and the season is young and all that bunch of stuff, enjoy the wins. Yes, do it. Enjoy it. You don't have to be down and out. Clemson fans, you can enjoy these past 2 wins. Clemson wins tonight, and by the way, they should. Great. What happens when they play a football team that their coaches are good and their players as a whole on both all 3 sides of the ball, that's including special teams, is good? What happens then? Do you get Florida State in the Orange Bowl? All those players sat out. And how has this season went for you? There was a part of me that wanted Miami to lose last night, so we could go ahead and get this over. Let's go ahead and get this over with. Let's go ahead and get this over with. Please, please. It's kind of like you want Penn State, if they're not going to be for real, but you're tired of having a fire hose attached to your mouth, they turn it on high, and you're just filled with Penn State until they play a real team and then they lose, and they're actually a 2 or 3 loss team at least. You're tired of it. You want it to just go ahead and happen. Just go ahead and get it over with. That's what I wanted to happen last night. And Vatek did what Vatek does now. Lose. And so the Hurricanes live to see another day. They live to see another flipping day. Let's talk about some more games. And by the way, the conclusion there is Miami. Last night you proved you proved a lot of my you proved to me that a lot of my negative suspicions about you, and that God, my foot's itching. You proved to me last night that a lot of my negative suspicions was true. Because while everybody's trotting Cam Ward out there and that's all they talk about, Cam Ward, I get it. I get why. The guy can play. The guy can play. He really can. But you got to have someone else playing for you than Cam Ward. This happens all the time in college football. And I'm just going to tell you, if I'm wrong, if at the end of the season, Miami ends up in the playoff, and they go in the playoff and they play a Texas or they play a Georgia or they play an Ohio State or they play an Alabama or an Ole Miss or an Oregon, if Oregon has pulled some stuff together, and they compete with them, even if they lose, they compete with them, go down to the wire with them, and those teams prove in the playoff that they are not just hype. Okay, then I'll say, you know what, I was wrong, or they grew as a team. Okay, as of right now, that moment hasn't happened. Let's move on. I'm going to go through top 25. We'll talk a little more about that. So if I hadn't said this already with all my rumblings, mumblings, and so on, this is week 5 of college football. We're just barreling on down. This is the last weekend in September. I believe it's Tuesday. Tuesday is the first day of October. Here we go. Kentucky and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 16-point favorite. This game's in Oxford. You can catch that on 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock on ABC. Jackson Dart is the man of the hour. You kind of wonder when all these transfer portal guys out of Ole Miss, if they were to when they leave, and they are, especially after this season, if Lane is going to capitalize on his success there, and he's going to bolt instead of having to rebuild the team again. That's what I think. Ole Miss should win this game. Now, if Kentucky comes out and shocks us, great. I think Ole Miss wins the game. 12 o'clock on Fox, Michigan and Minnesota gets together. Michigan's a 10-point favorite. My redneck's coming out in me. Michigan, this is a game that you got to watch Michigan blowing this game. The total for this game is only 34.5 points. And Minnesota is not that good. Minnesota is not that good. Michigan coming off that win against Southern Cal. Everybody's excited about that, and I get it. Great, wonderful. Here's the problem. I'm just not buying Michigan. If I'm a Michigan fan, my rebuttal to me would be something like, it doesn't matter if you buy us or not. Who do you think you are? I'm just a guy who watches football all the time, has no ties to most team, and just tells the truth about them. And it's so funny. This is ironic. And y'all know I get things wrong on here all the time. I talk about it. But I just want to make this very, very, very clear. If you approach a football team with a realistic approach and you don't get so sucked in by the X's and O's of a team, but actually what those X's and O's produce, that's the key. That's the key. Did you hear what I just said? If you don't get so caught up in the strategy of a team and what they're doing or what they intended to do, but you just get caught up in what the result is, that's how you'll be able to predict games. That's the key. Some of you are too close to the game. Some of you did play the game. And that's your Achilles heel. I've talked to former Clemson players who, they were nice and they were a way better athlete than I've ever been. They actually played the game. They actually played it at a big level. But every now and again, you'll catch the reason why a lot of players don't make good coaches. Just because you play the game doesn't mean you can coach it. Just because you were a good coach didn't mean you were a good player. To each their own. But I've talked to players before, and they've been like, well, you just got to understand making decisions is hard. That's not a response that holds water. It's because strategy is tough, but you have to look at the result of strategy. And it'll prove that a lot of people who are seen as experts are not experts. They're well-paid, subpar football coaches. I'm just not sold on Michigan. Not sold on them. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Kansas State beat the trash out of them. I believe it was last year, 48-0 or something. Mike Gundy is on the friends and family plan. And who's really killing themselves to go play or go coach at Oklahoma State right now? Oklahoma State has a lot of money, and they have this, and they have that. A lot of schools have a lot of money. Mike Gundy, if he had not had his prior success and marry that with what he played there, I think Mike Gundy would already be gone. I think Mike Gundy would probably also, had he not played there, he'd probably already left. You have Kansas State and Oklahoma State. K-State's only a 5-point favorite in this. You have Alan Bowman, the quarterback for Oklahoma State. The guy's been in college football for many, many, many years. I'll tell you how long, and I saw this the other day. He was supposed to replace Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. He started out at Texas Tech. That's how long he's been in college football. He's had some injury and so on. That's going to be in Manhattan, Kansas. I see Kansas State winning that game. BYU and Baylor getting together 12 o'clock on FS1. It's going to be in Baylor. Baylor's a 3-point favorite. It's funny. They're 2-2. BYU's ranked and 4-0. And Baylor is the favorite. It's hilarious. That's a toss-up to me. I'll take BYU on this one. Dave Aranda, the former LSU defensive coordinator that was there when they won their national championship with, Joe Burrow and all those guys. That team that existed for one season, then it was gone. He was the defensive coordinator then. Seat's getting really warm for him. Hot to the touch. If he doesn't get some things going at Baylor. Baylor's finding out that Matt Rule was that good. Because Matt Rule had to take over after that Art Briles fiasco and nearly receiving the death penalty for the program. And Matt Rule's proven at Nebraska he's that good at coaching the college game. I could care less what he does in NFL. NFL's not even a game to me. The NFL is a bunch of well-paid guys. It's a business, and some of them are good guys. I want to be careful my approach to the NFL. Not all of those guys are bad guys, but a lot of them are really, really good athletes who hasn't had to grow mentally since about middle school or high school. They were really good athletes back then, and no matter how they acted, no matter how they carried themselves, they could get away with it because they were good athletes. So school teachers would pass them on tests that they had no business passing them. If they acted like a lunatic, or if they came from the right family who had a lot of money, they could get out of anything. And I don't know how you coach those types of people. I don't know how you deal with those types of people. So I could care less. And once again, not all people in the NFL are like that. There's some good people in the NFL. But Matt Rule has made fun of him for what he did with the Panthers. Last I checked, is the Carolina Panthers good or not? They've sucked for a while. So Matt Rule, yeah, he can coach the college game very, very well. And I'd take that. Here we go. Going back to the games. Wisconsin, Southern Cal. Southern Cal's a 14.5-point favorite. My, how Wisconsin has fallen. This is going to be in the Coliseum. This is 3:30 CBS. Remember 3:30 CBS used to be an SEC game of the day? Probably Georgia and Alabama today. Not anymore. Wisconsin, USC. USC licking their wounds after that loss to Close loss to Michigan last week. Louisville and Notre Dame getting together in South Bend, 3:30 on Peacock. Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite. This is a game for Louisville to shine. This is a game. This is a game for Louisville to say, hey, look, Notre Dame, we're going to go into Notre Dame Stadium. It's going to be beautiful. I know it's an old stadium, but it's beautiful there. It's Notre Dame. Okay, whether you love them or hate them, it is Notre Dame. Whether they've won a national championship in the past 36 years or not, it's still Notre Dame. I want to go there. I want to go to the game there. I need to. But I don't buy Notre Dame's coaching as a whole. I think Marcus Freeman is too much too soon. I think he was a rising star, and instead of allowing him to rise, he was offered this opportunity, and he wouldn't take it. I don't blame Marcus Freeman for taking this. But Marcus Freeman took this job, and I think it was too soon, and it might damage his career for a long period of time, as to where had he not taken it, taken another job somewhere else and been like, I don't want to touch that job. Just kind of like, and which the Alabama Notre Dame job in comparison of championships and recent success, totally different. I get that. So I'm not making that argument. I'm not trying to make that comparison. You notice how there are a lot of guys didn't want to follow up Nick Saban, right? Well, maybe Marcus Freeman looks at this job and says, hey, this Notre Dame job has been tough for a lot of individuals, and I just don't want that stain on my career. Thank you, but no thank you. And Marcus Freeman would have been picked up by someone else to coach defense. I'm just not, and I'm not sold on his coaching staff, folks. I think his coaching staff is very, very questionable. And this would be a chance for Louisville to go in and beat a team that, if they are solid and they're actually a contender for the ACC, they should beat Notre Dame. Beating Notre Dame, in theory, sounds good. Notre Dame is not a terrible team, but they're not a good team. Sorry. Louisville should win this game. Oklahoma and Auburn, they're getting together. This is an SEC. This is an SEC game. Oklahoma has one of the worst schedules, and I say worst, I mean one of the toughest schedules in the country. You should go look at it. It's embarrassingly tough. They play at Auburn. They just came off their loss at home in their first SEC game, and that was against Tennessee. Their team did not look good. Let me rephrase that. Their defense was not bad. Parts of their offense was okay, but their quarterback play until that, what was it, Hawkins kid or whatever his name was, came in. Jackson Arnold was rated way higher than Nico, the quarterback for Tennessee, coming out of high school. And you know me, I don't take shots at players. I try not to even make it seem personal. I'm just talking pure reaction to Jackson Arnold's play. He looked like a high school kid trying to play the college game. He looked like a high school kid that used to be big stuff in high school, and he's sitting on the sideline shocked at what was happening to him. It's like, holy crap, I used to get away with this when I played high school football. And it's like, yep, it's not high school football anymore. It's college football. It's major college football. Oklahoma's still number 21. They're going in to play an Auburn team that is blah. Auburn's a 1-point favorite in this game. Let me tell you what that means in just in theory. It's a toss-up, but to think that Oklahoma's number 21, you would think that even going into Jordan-Hare Stadium, that Oklahoma would be the favorite in this game. No. I don't know who's going to win that game, quite honestly. I really, really don't. 3:30 ESPN, you got Arkansas, Texas A&M. A&M's a 5.5-point favorite. 5.5-point favorite. Both teams are 3-1, 1-0 in the SEC. This game's going to be at Arlington, Texas. There at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World. I think A&M wins this game, but I would tell you this: if Arkansas could win this game, that would be big for them would be big for Sam Pittman. It would be big for Bobby Petrino running his offense. If they can get Taylon Green going, the Arkansas quarterback, that would be great. Problem is he's thrown 4 interceptions this year. Now, whether that's on his wide receivers, I don't know. Whether there was a miscommunication, blah, 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 tipped passes, that does matter. But we will see in that ball game. I'll take A&M for right now, but I wouldn't be shocked if Arkansas won the game. 4-15, you have Mississippi State going in to play Texas. Mississippi State is just awful. They're 1-3, 0-1 to SEC. Texas, on the other hand, well, I could stop there. Texas is a 37.5-point favorite. I believe they cover the spread. I really do. Is Ewers playing that game or is Arch Manning? Leave the comment below. I'm going to get to my comments here in just a second. Got 58 people of you. What am I? Y'all, I'm telling you, I can't think straight. This week has been quite nuts for me, but probably has for you. And especially with the storm coming in, you probably are feeling it as well. 59 of you in here. I'm glad you're here. If you haven't subscribed, hope you will. I just crossed 5,000 because a bunch of you are subscribing. I'm looking in here. I can tell who's subscribed. I can tell who has not. And I appreciate a bunch of you in here have subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed so far, I hope you will. It is free. I'll be saying hello in just a second. Joe Custer asked, how do you have power? By the flipping... And that sounds sacrilegious, and I don't mean it that way, by the grace of God. Because I have a buddy 0.3 of a mile down the road from me, and he doesn't have power. Like, literally 0.3 of a mile down the road from me. Good friend of mine, he kept texting me last night going, one side of the road has power, we don't. All of my family, they don't have power. My wife's family, they don't have power. We have power right now. So, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So I'm thankful. I kind of feel, honestly, I almost didn't do this video. I thought, I hope I don't offend anyone because I do have power. So I hope everybody's safe. Let me see. Matthew said, yeah, I went out driving looking for gas yesterday, and it was crazy. David Wood, yeah. Oh, trust me. Yeah, it's for anyone who's watching this and you're not, you're not familiar with what went on. You think about the hurricane hitting Tampa, which I heard it just trash Tampa. But a lot of people doesn't realize how messed up South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, especially South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina, we got hammered. Like, it's bad. It looks like a bomb went off here. And when you think about that hurricane coming up through the Gulf, you don't think about it hitting us. It does hit us more than if it hit the coast of South Carolina. And so it's really, really sad. Really sad. Joe Custer, all I'm going to say is I'm in your general area. And I don't doubt it, my friend. I don't doubt it. Corn Pop, Western North Carolina got hit pretty hard in a dam here in East Tennessee, suffered a catastrophic failure. I read about that this morning. Yeah, I read about that. Dane Wilson, Powdersville, and Piedmont is terrible. I don't doubt it. As I said a little earlier, I have a lot of my families in Oconee and Pickens County, South Carolina. And I talked to them before. I was on the phone with my mom before I went live, and they don't have power. My sister doesn't have power. On top of that, my sister's son, my nephew, who watches his channel faithfully, he's sick. He's throwing up right now. So on top of not having power, there's power lines. I mean, just the power poles are snapped like toothpicks outside of her house. I mean, the footage is terrible. He's throwing up. He's sick. He's got a virus, and it's just awful. It's just awful. Corn Pop says, luckily it wasn't too bad in Knoxville. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get back in here real quick. Grafnar, good to see you. Don't feel bad about broadcasting, raising people's spirits. Thank you so much. Grafnar is not only a subscriber, he does support the show on a monthly basis. That symbol beside his name, I appreciate you supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Thank you, old friend. You've been very supportive. Been very, very supportive. Another one in here. It was earlier. I don't know if you're still even in here. Parker Henderson supporting the channel. Good to see you. Atlanta Airport. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Thank you for supporting the channel. I just started reading another comment, but I appreciate you supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Tommy Hancock said, not sure why Clemson's playing this game tonight. Not a good idea to be using emergency services to handle a game when they're already overwhelmed. A lot of people are very upset about this. You know, Boone, North Carolina was hit hard, and Appalachian State canceled their game with Liberty. And I don't know what it's like up there, but I'm going to tell you right now, it is a flipping war zone in a lot of the upstate of South Carolina, and there's a lot of people who's mad at Clemson for not calling off this game. So, one of my family is in law enforcement, and he's having to work the game right now. So, using a power inverter to make coffee and charge phones. Yeah, let me tell you this, Dane Wilson. Yesterday, we have a gas stove. So my wife was like, man, what are we going to do? Our coffee maker, we can't use it and everything. So I went and fired up the stove and just took our ground coffee, pre-ground coffee that we have. And I just started doing the whole pour over method slowly. It was coffee. Wasn't great, but it was coffee. I'm with you. Mike Madden in here talking trash about Clemson losing so bad to Georgia. Good to see you, my friend. All right, let's get back in here and try to raise some spirits, okay? Okay, let's get back in here. We need to talk. We need to deal with reality. That's good. But we need to let's try to raise some. Let's try to raise some spirits, have some fun, talk some trash. Stanford and Clemson. I've already talked about this game. 7:00 tonight at ESPN. Call for Clemson, who is a 21.5-point favorite. I called them to win this game somewhere around 42-17, 42. 35 to 10, somewhere in there. I can't remember my exact score. Elikayo Manor, the great wide receiver they've had with Stanford, guy who torched Colorado, almost had 300 yards in that massive comeback last year. The one that let us know that Colorado was, yes, they were improved from the 1-11 football team they were to a 4-win team. Yes, that is a big deal, okay? It is a big deal. But the whole media frenzy that went on, and even got people, man, there was people just talking. Like, I criticized Dion Sanders, and I've said Dion Sanders is an unbelievable talent when he was playing. Dion is he's very good at promoting stuff, but I just criticized, and I said, hey, I didn't like the way that he talked to the team that he inherited. I thought that was wrong. And because those guys were just implementing what they were told. Have you ever been fired from a job for doing what you were told and they didn't get the results? So instead of firing the head guy, they fired you. Well, they fired the head guy, and then he turned around and came in there and talked to them like trash. And the stuff that's come out, I'm telling you, that's not a healthy program. But that's all I said. I didn't say that I hated Dion, or I didn't say that Dion Sanders was, P. Diddy. I didn't say any of that stuff. All I said was, guys, this is a hype train, and this is not good, and I think he's trying to promote his sons, and I can't blame him for promoting his sons. But I had some people come out of the woodwork and accuse me of some really terrible things. All I want to say to you is, you need to stop holding on to some excuses of why people criticize. Maybe I just criticize a guy because for the reasons I just said. So I'm sick and tired of that trash that comes out when you criticize someone for what's obvious, and it ended up shaking out. Stanford was part of that. Coming out, they were down 29-0, and Elikayo Manor came out and just bested them. Bested Travis Hunter. And we got to be careful with Stanford tonight. But I still call Clemson to win this ball game. Clemson, keep the pedal on the metal. Prove that you have learned your lesson, or that you are improving. Whatever verbiage you want to use, come out here and do it. Come out here and do it. Let's keep going. 60 of you in here. Hope you hit the thumbs up. Hope you're doing well. Iowa State and Houston. Iowa State's a 16-point favorite. Iowa State, how many times can I say Iowa State, Iowa State, Iowa State, Iowa State? Matt Campbell and the guys 3-0 right now in Big 12 play. 7 o'clock tonight on FS1. They're playing at Houston. I see them winning this game. Houston's got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do. It's not looking good down there for, I think it was Willie Fritz. He was the coach at Tulane. Did some great things at Tulane over the past few years. Unbelievable. I enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed watching them do what they did down there. The biggest game of the day, number 2, Georgia, number 4, Alabama, 7:30 in Tuscaloosa. Georgia is a 1-point favorite. 1-point favorite. So you have a coach on one side bringing in a team that he's been coaching for a while now. He has 2 national championships in the past 3 years, and he lost 1 game last year by 3 points. That just happened to be to this team in the SEC championship. That kept him out of the college football playoff, the then 4-team playoff. He dropped from 1 to number 5 or something like that, number 6. Kirby Smart is the face of college football. He is only a 1-point favorite going into Tuscaloosa to play against a guy who's been on the West Coast basically his entire life. Coaching. HELENE is a good coach. This is a game that says he's an unbelievable coach. Because you know that stigma of guys coming from outside of the South to come into the South to coach. You know it. And I'm going to say it out loud. The SEC. If you want to see this guy catapult his respect, and I respect Kalen DeBoer. I think he's a good coach. Coaching in the SEC is different. Well, Brian, you're feeding into the SEC. The SEC is historically an incredible conference, whether you like it or not. Where I get frustrated is where, I'm just making this up, but I really don't have to make this up. Where you run into a South Carolina fan running their mouth about the success of Georgia or Alabama, and it's like, oh, so you're a Georgia or Alabama fan? No, I pull for South Carolina. I've told you about when I was walking through Gatlinburg one time. It's right after Clemson won that. It was right after the 2018 national championship. And I was walking down the street at Gatlinburg. I had my Clemson hat on. Nobody's around me. I'm just walking around. This guy looks at me. He goes, boy, Alabama's going to get y'all this year. Just out of nowhere. I don't know this guy. He's just, I was like, oh, really? Really? You pull for Alabama? Oh, so you're an Alabama fan? He looked at me. He said, well, no, I pull for Kentucky. What? What? That's where people gets annoyed with SEC fans. Yes, the SEC is tough, but who do you pull for? If you're an actual Alabama fan, get it. If you're a Georgia fan, as mouthy as you are, get it. But if Georgia wins the national championship, Mississippi State has nothing to talk about. Nor does the other teams. Really. It's just my view. I think you look like little brother talking about big brother. Transparently, I think it's pathetic. That's just being honest. I think it's pathetic. To see that Georgia's only a 1-point favorite in this game, I picked them to win the game, but I will tell you this. Georgia's offense did not look good against Kentucky. And we can talk about the history of Kentucky playing with them. We can talk about Mark Stoops being buddies with Kirby Smart. And you can talk about Kirby didn't want to humiliate him. He's humiliated him before, folks. It didn't change overnight. You would think right now that Kirby would want to humiliate anyone he can or could. After he was left out of the national championship hunt last year over a 3-point loss in the SEC championship. To me, that makes sense. You better beat everybody. You better beat them bad to make sure that if you should slip up, it doesn't cost you in the future. They did not look that good. I could care less if they did beat Clemson. I hate it. Hate it for Clemson. But Georgia did not look good against Kentucky. I still pick them to win this game. Barely. I think it's a toss-up to a point. It's going to come down to the quarterback who makes the least mistakes. And some people would say, well, that's a cookie-cutter answer. Sometimes cookie-cutter nails it every time, baby. Again, we get too caught up in the X's and O's, and we forget the results. I know the recipe to this dish calls for expensive, high-quality ingredients. But if the end result is trash, tastes like puke, who cares? It's going to be a good game to watch. Ohio State and Michigan State getting together, 7:30 on Peacock. OSU's a 23.5-point favorite. Michigan State just lost their first game. They just lost their first game. I believe they just lost their first game. Let me look this up. Yeah, Boston College beat them. Boston College beat them 23-19. Bill O'Brien not doing too shabby up there. I told you he's a good coach. Well, he didn't do this. He didn't do that. Okay. Fine. Ohio State should win this game easily. And if they don't, Ohio State needs to sit in a dark room, listen to Celine Dion, and cry for a little bit. Number 19, Illinois and Penn State getting together. Illinois is 4-0, 19. Ranked number 19 in the country, 7:30 on NBC. It's going to be in Penn State. Penn State's a 20-point favorite, 19.5-point favorite. Altmaier, whatever his name is, up there at Illinois, he's doing a pretty good job. 862 yards, 10 touchdowns. But you got Singleton over there for Penn State. What's their quarterback's name? I'm going to tell you this. Some of you are going to be like, you don't know us. Nope, not keeping up with Penn State until they beat somebody. It's worthwhile. No reason to. Not a terrible football team. But James Franklin, to me, is the Mark Richt. Mark Richt coached for many years. I think Mark Richt's, from what I understand, is a good man. Not trashing him. I'd love to make the money that Mark Richt made. Okay? He's made. So no offense to him, but he could not take Georgia and all that talent. He could never get them over the hump. He couldn't. And I think James Franklin's in that same group. When it's time to beat a really good football team to prove that you are worthy of that preseason top 10 ranking, can't do it. I think they'll beat Illinois. Illinois is not bad, but if Illinois beats them, got South Alabama at LSU. LSU is a 20.5-point favorite in this game. They should definitely win this one. Still don't get the Brian Kelly hire. Doesn't make sense. Boise State, Washington State. Boise State's a 6.5-point favorite, and Washington State's 4-0. It's going to be in Boise, Idaho. Utah and Arizona, former Pac-12 buddies. They're playing tonight, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time in Salt Lake City. Utah's a 9.5-point favorite. They should pull that one out. Oregon and UCLA playing 11 o'clock tonight on Fox. It's going to be playing in Pasadena. Oregon's a 25.5-point favorite, 3-0. Dylan Gabriel in his 14th year in college football, 914 yards, 6 touchdowns. We will see how that game goes. I am interested just to see if obviously Georgia and Alabama playing is going to be a big deal, but I'm really interested to see how everyone reacts going from this point forward, because I say everyone reacts. A lot of the teams, we're going to get, I'm hoping that sooner than later, it's not going to take the rest of the season because we're getting close to the midpoint. I'm hoping that some of these teams that are posers, kind of like I talked about Penn State, kind of like I talked about Miami, if you're not a poser, please prove it to me now, because I'm tired of hearing about you. and I know so for some of you Clemson fans, you're going to totally disagree with me. That's totally fine. Wonderful. Different opinions. To each their own. Potato, potato. Tomato, tomato. I was going to try to come up with something brilliant, but my brain broke when. But I'm hoping that the teams that are not posers will prove it. And what I was going to say about Clemson is I saw where Dan Mullen was talking to you news. He does that segment on ESPN now, mulling it over, mulling it over. And they mulled it over that Clemson is back. Okay, that's great for his fans to sit and listen to. And if you're a little kid and you're a Clemson fan, oh, that tickled you pink. But if you're a 45-year-old man who's been watching Clemson football, if you're a 30-year-old man and you're watching Clemson football and you're not sobering up from PBR and you're not sitting around trying to figure out if Sabrina Carpenter is old enough for you to ask out if you were put in that predicament. What I'm trying to say, if you have a brain that is mature, you know that they're not back because they haven't played anyone to prove that they're back. It's good what we're seeing, and that's great. We need to accept that. That's wonderful. That's fine. I'm glad they haven't lost. I'm glad that they're tearing it up. But to go ahead and say that they're back because of what's happened over 2 weeks, folks, that's just immature. Again, if you're a 12-year-old little boy watching ESPN and Dan Mullen says that Clemson's back, or if the entire cast of Game Day says Clemson's back, you can sit there and cackle like someone just took a feather and tickled your foot. But if you're being objective, you know that it's good that Clemson has won. Did you hear me? It's good that Clemson's won. You can enjoy the moment. That's great. That's wonderful. Take it game by game. And then we can decide that. So I'm just hoping that if Penn State is truly for real this time, prove it. Miami, if you're for real, prove it. Clemson, if you're for real back, prove it. But I just ask you to chill out and let's let this all come together. Let's see. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to fly through this, sound like an auctioneer. Hey, I got one in the back. I got one in the back. I got 15 in the corner. I got 20. I got 20. I got 20 in the back. I got 25. We're going to go through this. Tiger 2 deep. Yes, I have power. Yeah. Yes, I have power, my friend. Thank God for it. C Wavy 252. And by the way, I hope everyone is fine. I hope you're doing well and store will be restored. Got C Wavy 252 in here. Glad you're safe. Glad you're safe too. I think we can beat VT in Miami after last night. Yeah, Raheem. Blake Ellis, hope everyone is okay from Easley. Yeah, Pickens County, man. Pickens County. I got, as I said, I have a family in Pickens and Oconee County. I know it's rough over there, so I hope y'all are doing okay. Corn Pop, VT got robbed. They caught that ball. I know. I think the officials set up that situation last night, but I'm just anyway. Either side of the coin. You want to look at that. It was just they set that up. Vol Slim Jimmy, good to see you. Virginia Tech lost to Vandy. You're 100% right. Red, being a realistic fan versus being a fan that lives in fantasy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I used to live in fantasy. I mean, Athlon could say that Clemson was a top 10 team, and I'd believe it. ESPN could put one of their former football players or one of their beauty queens up there to talk about how Clemson was a national championship contender. Back during the Tommy Bowden days when they'd lost all of their talent and they were rebuilding, and I would buy it every time. And I just got sick and tired of being the idiot. I really did. Honestly, that's what happened to me. I got sick and tired of being manipulated. I think that's why this channel is growing. People are sick and tired of being lied to. Unify Boone, good morning. Good to see you guys and catch the live show. Good to see you, Unify Boone. Good to see you. Tommy Hancock, Cam Ward won't make it to the end of the season. They will use him up by week 8. When he starts getting hit and popped and nailed and knocked around, that tends to happen. Matthew, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you in here. Notre Dame 2164, good to see you as well. Making it in here as well. Justin Parrott, we had a tornado at 4 a.m. yesterday. The Clemson summer camp I worked at was hit by a tornado. It's bad, but we're all alive. Justin Parrott, I'm glad you are okay. I'm glad that you're safe. Guys, hey, there's a lot of power lines out there down. Don't assume anything. I had strangers. Can I rant for y'all 1 second? I haven't done this in a while. And though this is entertaining, I actually mean this. I know we're 55 minutes in, so there's 43 of you in here. I don't expect anybody who's watching this later on to make it to this moment. But I think it is time for my Frank Costanza airing of the grievances.
With the airing of grievances, I got a lot of problems with you people.
Hey, listen, we just had one of the worst storms in the upstate of South Carolina, according to meteorologists, since like the late 1800s. So I'm sitting here in the dark yesterday with the shades pulled up in my downstairs so I can have some sunlight in. There's no air conditioning, so I'm starting to smell a little funkier than usual. And what do I see? Some stranger, some neighbor, I don't even know because I live in a small community, who's standing out not only in my yard, but standing in the middle of my tree that looked like a bomb went off, took out my mailbox. We looked like a bunch of lunatics. It's laid over, covering the road. Fortunately, a good Samaritan came by and chopped up the tree so they could pass by on one side because it didn't have a chainsaw. And what do I see? I see Burford and his grandchildren standing out in the middle of a tree. You wonder how people end up walking into power lines that are down and getting electrocuted and dying. And it's like, how the crap does that happen? That's how it happens. Because people just can't help but get out and get themselves killed. After they survive some massive storm, it's like, oh, God took pity on me. He took some mercy on me. You know what I'm going to do? In celebration of that moment, I'm going to go out and get myself killed. That's what I'm going to do. Folks, don't be stupid. Yes, I know you're curious. No. Don't be stupid. He had his grandchildren out with him, standing in the middle of a tree that was in somebody else's yard. My yard. He could have got them hurt. He could have got himself hurt. Who knows? Don't be stupid. Be careful. If you are safe, especially, don't go out looking for a disaster after a disaster. And that's the end of my airing of the grievances.
With the airing of grievances, I got a lot of problems with you people.
All right, folks. I actually mean every word of that. Please be careful. Power lines are down everywhere. You don't know if they're energized. You don't know if trees, because the ground are so soft, if the wind blows just a little bit, some trees that survive this could topple on over. And I'm not trying to be a doom and gloom here, but you need to be careful. You need to be careful. So I hope you will. Y'all take care of yourself. And let's see, John Thomas, only in South Carolina. Gotta love it. Probably already had his chainsaw. You know what? He didn't have a chainsaw. He was literally standing in my yard. I'm not lying. I looked out there and I'm like, you know your neighbors. Like on one side of me, I have two people who's lived here for many, many years. They're older. They're in their late 60s. The other side of me, I have a guy, his family lived there for many, many years, and after his parents died, he lives there now. I know him. I know both those people. I know the lady across the road from me. I know what the neighbors look like in this general area. Never saw this guy a day in my life. Standing out in the middle of my yard with a tree that looked like just blew up. Mailbox, it's taken off, and he's standing out there. Right? I mean, I'm not joking. He's standing out and got his grandkids. And part of the tree is unstable. I'm going to have to take this tree down. And I was sitting there, and the wind was still blowing. Okay? This wasn't like yesterday after it was good and gone. All the wind had to do was blow a little more. And once one side of the tree collapses, it shifts the weight to where it's now more vulnerable than ever. A tree limb could split. This joker's standing out there. And I actually threw on my work boots because I don't want to, have something come through the bottom of my shoe because, I'm not going to go stand out in the middle of a disaster. To kindly ask him, could you not do that? Could you not do that? George is in here. Good to see you, George. I hadn't seen you in a while. God bless. My heart cries for those who lost loved ones and everything they own. Yeah, I know someone right now in the Easley area. He posted posted pictures of his kitchen, and the roof was gone. Part of the roof was ripped off. I mean, it's awful. It is awful. We have to let natural selection. Don't say that's awful. But John Thomas, you see that symbol beside his name. He supports monthly. Thank you for supporting the channel, and thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I hope you're safe. Folks, you take care of yourself. The games are about to kick off. Get as much fuel as you possibly can. If you can get somewhere and charge battery packs, if you can get your hands on battery packs, do it. And because for some places you're not going to have power for days. Again, I'm thankful that I have power. I'm very, very thankful that I have power. It's a blessing. And also, right here, shout out to the men with chainsaws and pickup trucks. Yeah. When the city came by, they literally just came by and cleared it. Just clear. I was shocked that they were here because, we could have made it. I was going to clean it up. I was having some guys come over with a chainsaw today. And I walked out there and I thanked them. And he's like, well, man, we're just doing what we're paid to do. I said, well, just because you're paid to do it doesn't mean I can't be thankful that you're paid to do it. So they were very kind. And be careful. Be careful with the emergency crews who are out there doing their job too. Just let them be. Y'all be good. Take care of yourself. And as always, hold on one second. Tried to send a gift, Brian, but it just won't process. My friend, I appreciate that. Just don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. As long as you're subscribed, I appreciate it. Y'all take care of yourself. Be good. Be safe. As always, go Tigers.